A couple of videos ago, Wayback Tech left a comment and it says, you know, John, for someone who said you won't do any more repair videos, you sure seem to keep doing them. Well, I never really said that. What I said was I was not going to do any more step-by-step restoration videos. However, I also added that if anything comes up, you know, that I think folks should know about, that yes, I'm going to go ahead and include them in the Mish-Mash videos, which is what I'm doing. The transformer problem I'm having, or I was having, with the Heathkit oscilloscope, and I wanted, you know, our young people to know about, one more time, about those Candome resistors. That's what I've done. So yeah, I'm not doing any repair videos. I'm just, you know, sandwiching stuff in amongst all of my Mish-Mash. With all that in mind, what we're going to do today is cook some Korean food. You know, I've been in a lot of countries in my life, and I'll tell you what, I've eaten food in all different kinds of restaurants in France and Germany and Holland and England and Switzerland, you name it, you know, Japan. Of all the foods, of all the restaurants I've eaten in, the Korean food was by far the best. It's that real stick to your rib stuff. And now, of course, the Koreans like to eat it really, really hot. Now, you know, you don't have to make it that hot. I don't plan to make it as hot as the traditional Korean food. You know, they just like it that way. And I don't want my food to be painful while I eat it. But I do want it to taste good. And Korean food does taste great. Anyway, what the wifey and I did a couple days ago was hit a few Asian supermarkets or Asian food markets around town, and in another town also. We bought up some stuff that well, I should say I bought it. The wife doesn't care too much for it, but I bought up some stuff that I've been wanting to get and do a real Korean kind of meal. Now, what we're going to be eating, and what we're going to be making today, what I'm going to be making, is something called kimchi sundubu jjigae. It's kimchi sundubu jjigae. Now, what the kimchi is, of course, the kimchi, and then sundubu is soft tofu, and jjigae means stew. So it's you know, it's a kimchi tofu stew, and it requires certain things, and it's all going to be made in this Korean earthenware bowl that I also bought. Now, this is called a tukbaegi, and it's an earthenware. They come in various sizes. You can cook right in them, which I plan to do. Put it on the stove. It's already been washed out and cleaned, and we are ready to go. In the Asian store, they run a little less than $10 for one, and they have very large ones and very small ones, you know. And it's not stoneware. This is earthenware, and it'll work just as well. That's what it's designed to do. Kind of a neat little item. So here's some of the things we bought that I'll be using today to cook my little meal. We have some dried anchovies. Now these are pretty small. I'll probably have to use maybe 10 or 12. We're going to use this to make a broth. And the broth is what we'll put the kimchi and everything in. And we also have a Korean radish, which I'll have to peel and slice. That too will go in with the anchovies. And then we have let me see, there's one more. We have our soft tofu right here, soft bag of soft tofu, or a pouch of soft tofu. There's our kimchi, some sesame oil, which I already had, some hot pepper paste. This is what you can put a lot if you like it hot, or a little if you don't like it hot. And then, of course, some chopped green onions and garlic. And normally, the way the Koreans make this stuff, this kimchi sundubu jjigae, they usually use pork belly. Well, they didn't have any pork belly, so we're going to go ahead and use sliced pork jowl. You know, I'll cut it up in pieces. It works the same. And there's one other thing I want you to see. The last thing we're going to be using is this is some dried kelp. We're going to go ahead and break this off. We're going to make a broth out of it using the radish and the dried anchovies. This is probably not exactly the kind I should have got, but I think it'll work just as well to make our broth. You can make a broth out of chicken stock, or in restaurants that's what they use. And they also use MSG, monosodium glutamate. Anyway, but we're going to use the kelp and do it the right way. So we're about ready to kick this off. Okay folks, it is time to make my bowl, or my rendition of kimchi sundubu jjigae. And that's what I'm going to make, and we're going to make it in this bowl. And I got the recipe from a YouTube user who is an excellent Korean cook. She's a Korean lady, excellent Korean cook. Her name is Mang-chi. Now, I'll tell you what, you look at her videos, you can't help but get hungry. Anyway, she showed everybody how to make this. Now these anchovies are fairly small. At least they look fairly small to me. What you do is you shake them out on your board, and you kind of take the largest of the bunch. You know, some of your really tiny ones like this, you know, it's too small. You basically, all you do is take the head off. You take the head off of them. They're already dried and boiled when you get them, okay? They're not just dried. And you take the head off of it, and then you open up the belly with your thumbnail. And when you do, they open up like this. See there? And then you take out the dried guts. Oh, that sounds gross, don't it? Yeah, it is. That's okay. It's a guy thing. Anyway, there's some of the guts right there. You take them out of there, just like gutting a fish. No different for those of you who fish. And then what we're going to do is next is I'm gonna peel this radish a little bit. I'm going to slice off about 4 or 5 slices of this Korean radish. And then we're going to put them in a pan with some seaweed and 4 cups of water, and we're going to cook them on the stove for about 10 minutes. What we're doing is making a broth, okay? The radish has been peeled. You know, we in America, we think we grow some radishes, you know. Yeah, right. Check that out. That's Korean radish. Man, that's, matter of fact, that's considered small by some of them. All right, all I'm going to do is slice off about 4 or 5 slices of it, you know, fairly thin. And then we're going to take and break out some of this seaweed here. I actually got the wrong kind. I should have looked at it a little closer, but I think it'll still do the job. What I wanted was that flat kelp, you know. This is kind of a stringier kind of seaweed, but you know, seaweed. This should work. Alright, this is not the right kind of seaweed, I can tell you that already, but you know, that's all I got, so that's what we're going to go with. If it turns out crappy, I'll know better next time. I needed that flat kelp, you know, the strips about that wide and about that thin. I asked them for it. I think it's called dashimi, and I asked them, this is what they gave me. They gave me the wrong stuff. I didn't look at it close enough. Alright, well, it doesn't matter. Let's see what we got. First thing that goes in, I got 4 cups of water. We're going to throw in our dried anchovies. Probably put in a few more than I should have, but you know, they're awfully small. So then I'm going to put our seaweed in, and our radish that I have sliced. I sliced about 5 of them. Remember, we're only making a broth. We're not going to be eating any of this. We're just going to be kind of boiling it all together. Put a lid on it, let it simmer for a while, about 10 minutes maybe after it gets hot. Then we'll strain it all out, and we'll have our broth for our kimchi sundubu jjigae, our stew. Okay. All right, let's get that cooking. We're going to cook these the seaweed, radish, and the anchovies for about 10 minutes under over medium-high heat. Okay, just let it kind of simmer around for a while, and then we're going to strain it, like I said, and get rid of all the the stuff except the juice. Yeah, she's simmering down pretty good. Look how those little stringy looking seaweeds became really big, you know. Yep, they were dehydrated. Now they're rehydrated, I guess. Okay, about another 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to go ahead and just shut it off, and then let it cool down a little bit. Then we'll strain out the juice. Meanwhile, while that's getting ready to simmer down a little bit and cool down, I'm going to take some of this hot pepper paste. Now, a Korean would take 2 tablespoons full of this stuff and mix it with sesame oil. I don't like it quite that hot, so I'm going to take maybe about a tablespoon. That's plenty, okay? And then we're going to take a teaspoon of sesame oil, and we're going to mix the 2 together. Alright, I think that'll do it. If I find out I need a little bit more, I can always add it. The next step is to cut half an onion and dice it up. The next step is to, take a large clove of garlic and mince it up. And fresh garlic, you know, I'm not into all that stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and figure out about what a large clove would be. I guess it'd be about like that. That's good enough for me. Well, I think it's time to strain the juice out into the bowl. Let's get that done. We're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty with this thing. Like I said, we were unable to get pork bellies. A lot of people probably cooking pork bellies this year in their black-eyed peas. You know, eat black-eyed peas on New Year's Day in America, and it's good luck, at least in the South. So we're going to go with the old sliced pork jowl bacon, they call it. We'll just go ahead and cut it up in a few pieces. You don't need a whole lot, just enough for flavoring, you know. Now we're going to go ahead and heat the tukbegi, which is the bowl, earthenware bowl. I'm going to put a little bit of grapeseed oil in the bottom of it, stir it around. I'm going to add the onions. I think I might have cut a little bit too much onion. Boy, that was a big onion. I'll probably take maybe 2/3 of this amount and put in there. Then we're going to add the pork. We're going to stir everything around until it gets brown. Yeah, a little bit of that oil is in there. Not a whole lot. You don't need a ton of it. Now we'll go ahead and put a few onions. That probably is going to be plenty of onion. Add that in there, stir it around a little bit. Now we'll get the old pork. Now we're making some progress. Wifey has already promised me that if it doesn't turn out well, if it doesn't taste good, she's going to go ahead and eat the whole thing. She'll sacrifice herself to me. I kind of like that. Now we go ahead and add a cup of kimchi. And we add a cup of our broth. Might need a little bit more. I'm going to add just a little bit more because that wasn't quite a full cup. Now we're going to stir this around some more. Bring it on around. Let her boil down. Now we're going to go ahead and add our garlic and our hot paste. Alright, the garlic and the paste is added. Now we kind of mix all that up. Yeah, kind of get that a boiling and a cooking away there a little bit. It's looking good so far. I may have to wind up putting a little bit more of that paste. Keep in mind, you know, I didn't want it to be very hot. The Koreans, man, they like that stuff to be fiery hot. Not me. I'm not too crazy about that. Now comes the soft tofu. It's really soft too. It's really soft. See it? Just cuts so easy. I'm going to put in half of that. I may wind up putting it all in, but we'll put in half of it for now. The next thing I added was a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of sugar. It looks to me like we better add a little more of that stock. Yeah. You want this to be like a stew. Like that. You can make it any way you want. Put in as much stock as you want. Looks like I might even have to add the rest of that tofu. Oh man, I'll tell you what, it's looking good. We're going to go ahead and let that simmer like that for a while. Meanwhile, I've got a frying pan over here with a little bit of grapeseed oil in it. I'm going to fry an egg. Well, the fire is off and the egg is cooking. Not a very good job on the egg, but I used all but this much tofu. I didn't use it all. I just didn't feel like going crazy with it. You could put the entire thing in if you wanted. So let's get the egg on top of the jiggy. Well, that's it. You take the fried egg, you put it on top of all of that, and then you garnish the whole thing with some green scallions. You put on as many as you want. All right, well, we're going to find out how good this tastes. Well, I'm getting ready to eat at least some of this. I'm not going to eat the whole bowl with a little bit of rice. And, you know, I know this is going to taste great. What I'm concerned about is it going to be too hot. So let me give it a taste here. I don't know. I didn't know exactly how much of that hot paste, hot pepper paste to put in. So let's give it a try. Oh man, that does taste good. It's not too hot. Not too hot. Pretty stingy, but not really hot. Let me eat some more. I'll tell you what, with every spoonful, I get some of that tofu out of there. Boy, that tofu is good. See, tofu is basically tasteless. It soaks up whatever you cook it in, almost like a mushroom. Boy, that's really good. Well, that's it, folks. My version of kimchi sundubu jjigae. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty darn good. I didn't quite put too much hot pepper in it. You might want to give it a try if you get a chance someday, if you feel adventurous. Not bad. A little bit of soy sauce on the rice. Now, normally you could serve this with a side dish of, blanched or fried bok choy with a little bit of hot sauce on it, or some bean sprouts. And my thanks to Manji for showing us how to do this. It's a really good meal. Until next time, this is John.